How you doing there? Alright. Here's the deal. Friends, here's the deal. Daf Ayin continues talking about these remedies and things like that. And I don't think it's as out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm good. Here's the thing. I'm doing the same plan as yesterday. I'm just going to read out of the art scroll. But, on Ayin Amud Beis, it gets back to some regular Gemara, and there I will be not reading from the art scroll. So we're just going to basically, the first Amud, we're just going to get through these Agadatas, story time. But then once we get onto Ayin Amud Beis, we get back to some Gemara, and then you guys get back to me for better or for worse. So, Al Kaponim. This is for Jordan. Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Ayin, Daf 70 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, let's do this. Alright, so we're going to start from Omar Shmuel. Where even is that? I guess 4-5 lines into the Ayin Amud Aleph. The Gemara now turns to the treatment for a number of conditions that result from external causes. Amar Shmuel said, one who is smitten by a Persian spear, excuse me, will certainly not live. Meanwhile, before he dies, he should be fed fatty meat roasted on coals and undiluted wine. This will perhaps help him live a little bit while longer and be able to instruct his household before his death. So it could sort of delay the inevitable if you feed him some meat and some wine. Another externally induced condition, Amr of Idi Bar Oven, says of Idi Bar Oven, Haiman de Bala Zibura, one who swallows a hornet. Michil Ochai will certainly not live. Meanwhile, before he dies, Nashkir Vyasa Dechala Shamgaz, he should be given to drink a revius of strong vinegar. Oh man, is that how you want to spend your last minutes? This will perhaps help him live a little while longer and be able to instruct his household. But why don't you just give him like chocolate or something? At least just let him enjoy, Another condition, Amr Bishua ben Levi, Achal Bsar Shor Belefes, one who eats beef with turnips. And sleeps in the open under the moon the 14th or 15th night of any month during the summer season. Interesting. Ochaz to achilu, is liable to be seized with the disease achilu. Brisa mentions another way of contracting this disease, Tana. It was Tana Brisa, V'amemali kresu mikol davar, one who fills his stomach with anything, i.e. who overeats. Ochaz to achilu, is liable to be seized with achilu. Okay. The Gemara elaborates on this brisa. Amar Papa said, "Afilu mitamri." Even if one fills himself with dates, he's probably gonna have shilshul. The Gemara asks, "Pshita, that is obvious. Why should dates be different than any other food?" The Gemara answers, "Sakadati chamina." One might have thought to say, had a Papa not said otherwise, Chol v'omer mar, that since the Master said, "Tamri misba'an umishachnon umishalshalon," exactly as I said, shilshul. Uma'ashran v'lo mefankun. Dates satiate, warm the body, loosen the bowels, provide energy, although sweet, do not spoil one who partakes of them. That's an interesting characteristic. I've been trying to buy dates in Shuk Machne Yehuda recently for a while now. But the people that I go to get my nuts, that's also where I go to get my dates. Sometimes the dates are really, really good. And sometimes they're just not, and you pay the same price. So I only like to buy them when they're really good looking, and they just haven't been really good looking for like a while now. Maybe it's like a seasonal thing, I don't know. But like when they're really good looking, they're so good. They're like, they're just like honey. Oh man. Alright. Emalo, so perhaps filling oneself with dates does not bring on achilu. Kamash Malan, so Papa therefore informs us that even dates can bring on achilu if one eats too much of them. Weiter. The Gemara now explores the nature of the illness mentioned above. My achilu, what is achilu? Amar Belazar said, Eish shalatzomis, fire of the bones. Oof. Fire of the bones. Oof. The Gemara inquires further, my eish shalatzamos. Oh, okay, what is fire of the bones? Okay. Amar Abaye said, Eish Garmi, bone fire. Dag nabbit. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was all excited. We're going to learn how a fire of the bones is. You know what fire of the bones is? It's bone fire. Thank you. Gemara now seeks the remedy for this ailment. Maya Suse, what is its remedy? Amar Abaye, okay, let's see what Abaye says now. It says Abaye said, Amar Li'em, okay, mother told me, Kulu Shakyone Tlosa Vishivo Tresar. All other medicinal beverages are taken for either 3, 7, or 12 days. Interesting. But the following remedy must be taken continuously until the patient is cured. Kulu Shakyone Ali Bereikana. All other medicinal beverages are taken on an empty stomach. But the following remedy is administered differently. After one has eaten, drank, entered the bathroom to relieve himself, exited the bathroom and washed his hands. And then he is to be brought a fistful of lentil porridge, okay, and a fistful of aged wine. And he is to knead them together and eat the mixture. Then he is to wrap himself in blankets and go to sleep so that he perspires. And nobody's to wake him until he arises on his own. And when he arises, he should take off the blankets immediately. If he does not, the illness may return to him. Okay. The Gemara now enters a discussion of habits that promote good health. Oh, okay. This sounds interesting. Let's see. Ooh, wow. The Elijah the prophet said to Reb Nosson, this is interesting. Have we seen this before? I don't know. Echol shlish, ushasei shlish, v'hanach shlish. Eat 1/3 of your stomach's capacity, drink 1/3 of your stomach's capacity, and leave 1/3 of your stomach unfulfilled. Interesting. Unfilled. Interesting. How do I know how much is my stomach? That this way, if you get angry after a meal, you will be filled to capacity. The heck does that mean? So it says a note of your anger causes the stomach to feel full. One who leaves room in his stomach will not be adversely affected by anger. However, one who fills himself with food may become ill if he becomes angry. Okay. Another medical advisory. Tani Reb Chia taught in a brisa. One who wishes to be spared intestinal illness should be accustomed himself to dipping his bread in wine or vinegar. Interesting. Both summer and winter. Interesting. What do I do? I don't really eat bread. Vinegar. I like to drink wine, but just basically on Shabbos. Okay, what? So what was? Yeah, so I guess I don't really dip stuff. Yeah, hummus is pretty freaking good though. It depends where you go. Friends, what's your favorite hummus? I know what mine is. Fine. Should accustom himself to dipping his bread in wine or vinegar both summer and winter. Also, if your meal gives you pleasure, withdraw your hand from it, i.e. do not overindulge. And do not delay when you need to relieve yourself. The Gemara cites a series of admonitions regarding activities that bring on feebleness. Amar Mokva says Marukva, Haiman, Deshase Tilya Chivra, one who drinks white tilya, Ochazto Vitek, is liable to be seized with feebleness. Okay. A discussion of the various types of wine. Amar Chizr said, Shisin Mine Chamra Avu, there are 60 types of wine. The most superior is aromatic red. Interesting. The most inferior is white tilya. What the heck is white tilya? Okay, apparently it's not a good wine. Okay. Another admonition. Rav Yehuda said, Hi man de Yosef b'tzafrone Nisan gabe nura, one who sits near a fire on Nisan mornings. Interesting. Then oils himself and goes out to sit in the sun. Okay. So Vitek is liable to be seized by feebleness. Okay. Further admonitions. Tana Rabbanan, the Rabbis taught in a brisa. Hikis dam v'shimish mitaso. If one had bloodlet from him and engaged in conjugal relations that same day, having lo banim vitkin, he will have feeble children. I feel like we've seen this before. Alright. If both a man and a woman had blood let and engaged in conjugal relations that same day, they will have children that are afflicted with rason. The Bryce's statement is qualified. Rav Papa said, this was only said in regard to one who did not taste, i.e. eat anything between the bloodletting and the conjugal relations of Atoy Midi Leislan Ba. But if one tasted anything in between there is nothing to be concerned about. Another related admonition, Rabbi Barafuna said, so if one arrived home from the road and engaged in conjugal relations that day, having Labanim Vitkin, he will have feeble children. A Brisa presents a similar warning. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a Brisa, Habami Beis Hakise, when it comes out of a privy, Ayishamish Mitaso, should not engage in conjugal relations at Sheyeshe Shir Chatzi Mil until he waits the amount of time required to walk half a mil. How much time is that? 8. So a mil is 18 minutes. So half a mil is 9 minutes. Wait 9 minutes. Alright? Mipnei Sheshed Beis Hakisim Lavimo, because the demon of the privy accompanies him for that period of time. Vimshimesh, and if he did engage in conjugal relations within that period, having the banim nichbim, he will have epileptic children. Another Brisa presents a related admonition to Rabbanan the Brisa, Amishamish mitasim me'umud, one who engages in conjugal relations while standing, Ochazto Ovis, is liable to be seized with a severe cramp. Meyushav, one who does it while sitting, Ochazto Dilaria, is liable to be seized with Dilaria. He milamala, Vihu milamata, one who engages in relations while she is above and he is below, Ochazto Dilaria, is liable to be seized with Dilaria. The Gemara explores the nature of this illness. My Dilaria, what is Dilaria? Amr Yoshua ben Levi, Sam Dilaria Dardara. The antidote for Dilaria is Dardara. Okay. The Gemara explores further. My Dardara, what's Dardara? Amr Abai says, Abai Morika Dechoche, saffron that grows in hedges of wild thorns. The Gemara now describes how saffron can be used. Rav Papa Olis Uvalale, Rav Papa would chew saffron and swallow it. Rav Papa Olis Bishadile, Rav Papa would chew saffron and spit it out. Some medical advice pertaining to the previously mentioned subject. Amar Abai said, Mishe'enu baki b'derech eretz, one who is not proficient in the way of the world, i.e. he is impotent. Laisei tzulas kfize kurtme dechoche, should bring 3 kefizas of saffron that grew in a field fertilized with sheep manure. Vinidu kinu, grind them up. Vinishlikinu b'chama vinishte, boil them in wine and drink the mixture. Saffron boiled in wine? That sounds alright. A comment regarding the effectiveness of this potion. Rabbi Yochanan said, it is exactly this which returned me to the potency of my youth. Okay. The Gemara next lists various groups of things that are detrimental to the health. 3 things drain a person's strength, and they are these: Pachad derech ve'oven, anxiety, travel, and sin. Interesting. Okay. A verse is cited regarding each of these. Pachad nechsiv, anxiety, for it's written, Libi scharchar azavani kochi, my heart is engulfed with anxiety, my strength has forsaken me. Derech nechsiv, travel, for it is written, Ino vaderech kochi, he has afflicted my strength on the way. Ovon nechsiv, sin, for it is written, Kashal bavoni kochi, because of my iniquity, my strength has failed. Okidoki. Another group of 3 harmful things. 3 things tear down a person's body. And these are them. Eating while standing. They tear. I eat while I stand all the friggin' time. All the time. I eat while I stand all the time. Yeah, I eat while I kind of prefer eating while I'm standing. Except if I'm like working. If I'm working, then I work while I'm eating, which is a lot. It's most of the time, I guess. But if I'm not working and I'm eating, I'm probably standing. Okay. Vishasa drinking while standing. Vishimish mitasa and engaging in conjugal relations while standing. A group of 5 gravely debilitating things. Chamisha kroven lemisa yosem echaim. 5 things bring a person closer to death than to life. Ve'elu'ein, and they are these. Achav v'amad, eating and immediately standing up. Shasav v'amad, drinking and immediately standing up. Hikiz dav v'amad, letting blood and immediately standing up. Yashan v'amad, sleeping and immediately standing up upon waking. Okay. Shimesh mitasav v'amad, and engaging in conjugal relations and immediately standing up. Another list of detrimental activities. Shisha osa osa miyad mace. 6 things cause one who does them to die immediately. And they are these. If one comes home from the road exhausted, hikis dam, if he lets blood, enters a bathhouse to bathe, drinks spirits until he's intoxicated, sleeps on the ground, and engages in conjugal relations, he will die. What? I don't understand. Or if you do them all, 6 things cause one who does them all to die immediately. And they are these. If one comes home from, like one after the other, Kilu? Like if one comes home from the road exhausted, lets blood, enters a bathhouse to bathe, drinks spirits until he's intoxicated, sleeps on the ground, and engages in conjugal relations, boom. Well, the Gemara qualifies the statement. Rabbi Yochanan said, This is only applicable if one does the 6 things in the order listed. Abaye said Ksidron Meis, if one does them in order, then he dies. Shalok Ksidron Cholish, whereas one who does them out of order is debilitated. The Gemara asks, Ini, is this so? V'mu'uras Avda Leila Avda Tlas Minayu Vamis, but the woman Mu'uras did only 3 of these things to her slave, and he died as a result. The Gemara answers, that slave was frail to begin with. Another list of advisory. Shmona Ruben Kosher Miyutun Yafe. 8 things are harmful in abundance, but beneficial in moderation. Ve'elu'ein, and they are these. Derech v'derech eretz, travel and conjugal relations. Osher Melacha, wealth and labor. Yayin v'shena, wine and sleep. Chamin v'akozas dam, warm water and bloodletting. Interesting list. Shmona memaitim es hazera. 8 things diminish the semen. Ve'elu'ein, and these are them. Amelach, salt. V'arav, hunger. V'nesek, or nesek. B'chia, crying. V'shena al gabi karka, sleeping on the ground. V'gudgonios, eating coriander. V'chishus shalo bizmano, and eating hops that are not in season. V'akozas dam lemato kiflaim, and bloodletting below. What does that mean? The Gemara will shortly explain the meaning of below. Is twice as harmful to the production of semen as any of these. Interesting. And Brisa comments on this subject. Tanu was on the Brisa, just as bloodletting below is twice as harmful as any other thing, so too bloodletting above is twice as beneficial as anything else. The Gemara now explains the meaning of below and above. Amar Papa said, Limata min abeitzim. Below means below the testicles. Limala min abeitzim, above means above the testicles. The Gemara now elaborates on another item listed above. Hops that are not in season. Tana, he was Tana Brisa, Kshem shekosha shelo b'zmana, just as hops are harmful when not in season. Kach yofe b'zmana, so too they are beneficial when in season. The season for hops is defined. Amar Papa says of Papa's mana Tammuz. The season for hops is Tammuz. In the summer, that's now, friends. It's hop season. Shelo b'zmana tevis, whereas the time that hops are not in season is tevis, i.e. the winter. Yom Nisan v'Yom Tishrei, during the days of Nisan and Tishrei. Lo malav lo kosher, hops are neither beneficial nor harmful. Friends, wow. All right, let's take a stretch. Let's take a stretch. 7th inning stretch. Oh man, battle yard. Excuse me. 7th inning stretch. That's like a baseball term, right? I'm pretty sure. Is there another break in the baseball game? Is there halftime in it? No, there's no halftime in a baseball game, right? Because I think there are 9 innings, if I remember correctly, in a baseball game. So I guess, is there like a halftime in the middle of the 4th inning, I guess? Probably not, right? Alright, friends. Now all that Agadita is over. We are back. I got my Gemara over here, and we're going to just get back into good old Babylon Talmud. And then we got a bunch of Gemaras coming up. We're mamish back into Gemara world. And Chevra, we're on Daf Ayin. We're on Daf 70 out of 90. So we're I guess 7/9 of the way through Masechta Gittin, which is pretty gewaldig. Okay. So now, we're on Daf Ayin Amud Beis, back in the Gemara, at the 2 dots. Omer Kisvu Ge'uah. Mamish, okay, now here we go. Question, answer. Alright, here we go. Omer Kisvu Ge'liishti. A fellow says, write a get to my wife, Ve'achazo Kordiakus, and then he drinks this wine and comes all intoxicated, whatever it is. So he gets some kind of Kordiakus spirit. And then while he's achazod by a kordiakis, he says, don't try to get to my wife. So that's irrelevant because he's saying this statement while being achazod by a kordiakis. So he's like, doesn't have mental capacity. So now, Amr B'Shem Ben Lakish says, B'Shem Ben Lakish, Kosvim V'nosnin, get la'alter. So Shlakish says, look, if a guy says, write a get to my wife, and then he's seized by a kordiakis. So Shlakish says, okay, look, while he was still lucid, before he was achazo kordiakis, so before he was seized by a kordiakis, he had said, write a get. So that's what we do. Even though at the moment he's sort of out of it, but who cares? The instructions were to write the get. He made that instruction while he's lucid. Anything he says now is irrelevant. So write a get and give it to his wife. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, Ein kos v'nele l'chshei. Rabbi Yochanan says no. You have to wait until he's over this episode of kordiakisness, and then you give the get. My time to do Rish Lakish. How come Rish Lakish says you can give it now, even while he's seized in the middle of being seized by a kordiakis? Tikatani em b'dvar v'achonim klum. While the Mishnah said that anything he says while he's a kordiakis guy is irrelevant. So let's just rely upon the relevant stuff, which is divorce my wife, and let's divorce his wife right now. Rabbi Yochanan Omelach, where Rabbi Yochanan says, Ein b'dvar v'achronim klum, what it means is that, we don't pay any attention to what he said while he was seized by a kordiakis, which means that once he becomes lucid again and clear of thought, we don't need to confirm with him, hey, did you really want to divorce your wife? No, he already said that he wanted to divorce his wife when he was lucid before he was seized by a kordiakis. But still, we don't write the get until he becomes lucid once again. But we don't need to confirm anything, right? Once he had already said that he wants to divorce his wife, so we're going to divorce his wife, but only once he gets better. What's the nature of the machlokus between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish? Rish Lakish medamile liyoshen, Rabbi Yochanan medamile l'shota. Well, because Rish Lakish basically treats his current state of being seized by a kordiakis as the equivalent as if he's sleeping. If a fellow says, divorce my wife, and then he goes to sleep, do we have to wait for him to wake up to divorce his wife? No. He says, go to divorce my wife, you go and divorce his wife. I don't care that he went to take a nap. So here also, he said, divorce my wife. He then got a chazod by a kordiakis. Who cares? He already said to divorce his wife. Go divorce his wife. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan makes it similar to a shota. A shota, of course, doesn't have das, and a shota can't divorce his wife, nor can he send somebody to divorce his wife. And therefore, Rabbi Yochanan says we treat this fellow who's currently seized by kordiakis like a shota, and we can't act on his behalf to divorce his wife while he's a shota. We have to wait until he gets better. Rabbi Yochanan nami nidami liyoshin. Why doesn't Rabbi Yochanan agree with Rish Lakish that why not treat it like someone who's sleeping and be able to divorce her now? Yoshin lemuchusar ma'isa, I muchusar ma'isa, because somebody who's sleeping isn't lacking any action that he needs to do, whereas a fellow who's achazod by a kordiakos is missing an action. What's that action? The action is that there's a remedy. The remedy is to eat lean meat broiled on coals with watered down wine. So somebody seized by a kordiakos is different than somebody who's sleeping. Somebody who's sleeping doesn't need to do anything. He just needs to wake up eventually. Whereas somebody who's seized by a kordiakos needs to do something. He needs to eat this meat and wine. Rish Lakish nami nidami l'shota. Why doesn't Rish Lakish compare the kordiakos situation to a shota like Rabbi Yochanan? Shota lo sami biyode, hai sami biyode. Well, a shota, we don't know what the remedy is for a shota. Whereas by a kordiakos, it's a different story. We know exactly what he has to do. He has to eat meat and drink wine. So therefore, it's not like shota where we don't have a remedy to do. Bisa sumka agumer v'chamer marke, and the solution for a fellow seized by a kordiakos is lean meat boiled on coals with thin wine, with watered down wine. Now, did Rabbi Yochanan really say this? That somebody who is a chazod by a kordiakis, then you don't, right, you can't give a get to his wife while he's seized by the kordiakis? Says if you didn't name of Shmuel, shachad bo shnaim or rov shnaim. If you have a fellow whose throat was slit, and his trachea and his esophagus were both slit, either in their entirety or partially, or the majority. V'ramaz v'amar, and he signaled, and he says, Kisvu get liishti, write a get for my wife. Hare elu yichtvu v'yitnu, they write a get, and they give it to his wife. V'tanya, we learn a brayso, re'u meguyad, if you see a fellow who's been cut up into pieces, otzalov, or he's hanging on a gallows, v'ramaz, and he signaled somehow, v'amar kisvu get liishti, and says, write a get to my wife. Hare elu yichtvu v'yitnu, they write a get and they give it. No. So we see if even in those cases you can write and give the get to his wife. So this fellow who's seized by kordiakis, why not be able to give a get to his wife? So well, there's a difference. Look, in that terrible situation where the guy's throat is slit, for example, his brain is still functioning in the meantime. And he's dying, he's weakening, but his brain in the meantime is still functioning. Whereas over here, acha daita shigishtahi. But over here, I mean, the guy is basically a shota. I mean, his brain's not functioning, so we can't give a get to his wife right now. Now, Yomer Shmuel hachi, does Shmuel really say that somebody whose throat was slit to such a degree, you can give a get to his wife? Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, shachad bo shnaim or rov shnaim. If a fellow's throat was slit, his tracheus and his esophagus, either entirely or the majority, uvarach, and then he runs away with a slit throat, me'idin olav, we could testify that he's dead. We could testify that he's dead and that his wife can get remarried. V'sagadayte chayu, amay midin olav. And now, if you're going to say that we could write a get and give it to his wife, that must mean that he's alive. Because if he's dead, you can't write a get, and get lachar misa. You can't deliver a get after somebody's dead. So if we're saying that somebody whose throat is slit to such a degree, so if we're saying that we can write a get and give it to his wife, so that must mean that he's alive. But at the same time, Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel that in this situation, his wife can get remarried because he's dead. I'm going to read that again. But if we're saying that he's alive and therefore he could write a get and give it to his wife, then why would we testify that his wife is dead? It sounds like he's alive. We say, look, he's alive right now, and he's right now saying, write a get and give it to my wife. We'll do that. But he's definitely going to die, and therefore his wife can get remarried, right? His wife is not going to get remarried this second. She'll get remarried, I don't know. By the time she gets remarried, he'll be dead. That's the point, right? He's right now alive, but, very soon he won't be because his throat is either entirely or mostly slit. So therefore, we can give a wife to a get to his wife right now, but also at the same time, his wife can definitely get remarried because by the time that happens, he will definitely be dead. Elameata. If that's so, that a person whose throat is slit is definitely going to die, yehe gola al yado. Well then, if Shimon accidentally slits Ruvain's throat, well, Shimon should have to run to a city of refuge, right? Because it should be considered like Shimon killed Ruvain, since Ruvain's definitely going to die. Allah matani, but why do we learn in a brayso? Shachad bo shnayim arov shnayim, that if Shimon, sliced Ruvain's throat, a trachea and esophagus, and the whole way or majority, hariza eino goler. Shimon doesn't have to run to a city of refuge. So I don't understand, but we said that Reuven's definitely going to die, so shouldn't he have to run to a city of refuge? So Itmar Allah, Amar Boshaya, so we say, yeah, but there's a reason why Shimon doesn't have to run to a city of refuge, and that is Chayshin and Shema Ruach Lo Balto. Well, maybe we could say that the wind was somehow involved in this, right? Shimon accidentally slit Reuven's throat, but the wind, blew his head off or something, and that's really what caused him to die, but he could have survived otherwise. Inami Ukereves Misasu, alternatively, maybe Reuven sped up his own death. He was flopping around and he could have survived if he wouldn't flopped around so much. What's the nafkamina between the wind blowing his head off and flopping around? Well, what if Shimon slit Reuven's throat in a marble house where no wind can penetrate, but he's flopping about? Inami, alternatively, or Shimon slit Reuven's throat outside, so there's wind, but he wasn't flopping around, so you don't have to be concerned about that. So those are differences between if you say it's about the wind or the flop. Whew. Friends, that was daf ayin. Masechta Gittin. The first daf was just more of that Agadita stuff, and then ayin Amud Beis, we saw machlokas between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish about when we say that a fellow who says to divorce his wife and then he gets seized by a kordiakis. So Rish Lakish says you can divorce his wife immediately. You don't have to wait. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan says you have to wait until he gets better. Friends, that was daf ayin of Masechta Gittin. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.